Hey friends, I just wanted to touch in on a little something. I've shown you before the polyvagal ladder. Um, uh, I don't have it pulled up, but it's basically the idea that in polyvagal theory, we go um, up and down a ladder in order from dorsal, which is like a freeze response, to fight flight, which is a sympathetic, up to touch in with ventral, which is like safety and connection, and we go up and down that ladder. And a lot of folks can come into this work thinking like, my goal is to stay in ventral and be calm and connected all of the time. And that's actually not safe for a physical being on this very threatening planet. So if we stay in ventral, calm, and connected all of the time, and we override our body's natural evolution built-in defense system, that can be quite dangerous for our physical bodies. If you think about putting your hand on a hot stove and trying to resist that reaction of pulling your hand away, you could get really burned, right? Um, of course, there are examples of like shamans or, um, monks or different spiritual beings who have overridden these things, walking on coals or not eating for 40 days. Those are particular people who have chosen that path and who have trained their nervous systems to be able to override that and who have the particular circumstance to be able to do that in a lasting way without like damaging their psyche or their nervous systems. But most of us aren't in that position. Like for me, I'm parenting a child and I'm working in, a situation where I'm exchanging, money and legal, responsibilities through licensing and liability and scheduling. And I'm living in a situation where I'm paying bills and I'm dependent for my food and housing on how I pay those bills. So for someone like me, I'm going to want to go up and down that ladder multiple times a day. So I may wake up in dorsal in that rest and digest place and go into sympathetic to sort of rev myself up and get up for the day. Um, I may then go into the connection when I wake up my kiddo and have some connection with, you know, getting him ready for school or whatever. And then I may go into a little bit of dorsal, like, whew, I got him done with that, and that piece is done. And then I may, sort of be like, okay, where am I? What's next? And then I may get myself into sympathetic again to do my morning walk. And then I may come back down to dorsal to do, a shower, relax. Then I get myself back into sympathetic and some ventral sympathetic to connect with my clients. And then I may come I'll drop all the way down into a dorsal for a lunch break. Um, and then I may rev back up into sympathetic and ventral to connect with my kiddo after school and do dinner and homework. And then I may do some real sweet ventral dorsal with some bedtime routines, story reading, and then crash back into dorsal when I'm falling asleep. So that movement is something that is indicates like a animal that's doing a great job interacting with the environment and the different threats that are offered us. If we were to just stay in ventral, we wouldn't be able to do all of those things safely. And many of us have spiritual managers or overachievers um, who shame us if we're ever in dorsal or sympathetic, even though for 500 million years these bodies have evolved to use sympathetic and dorsal to keep us safe. And so, what we're actually offering ourselves through this work is not the stagnation um, in calm, but the flexibility to consistently check in with safety and calm often enough so that we're, going, oh, is this dangerous? Maybe, but there's some possibilities. Oh, is this dangerous? I think it's going to be okay. Is this dangerous? And that transition may happen slower or faster depending on the intensity of the threat. So let's say I go traveling and my nervous system is like, we haven't been here before. We're on an airplane with a billion people. It's loud. We don't have our regular food. There's all sorts of different bacteria. We're doing a different routine. Um, I maybe go back to my, family home and my body's like, oh my gosh, this is a dangerous place, right? So, in that, I may spend like a more significant chunk of time in my defense state and have less opportunity to check in with safety because that amygdala is going, yep, it's not safe to check in with safety right now. There's not safety cues here. I'm in a busy airport and I'm up a million miles in the air. I'm around people who were previously threatening to me. Let's stay in defense state, right? So whenever we have a prolonged defense state, that's what I like to call a nervous system event. And when we have a nervous system event, it just means like we haven't had a check-in with safety in a while. So we wear down our resources. Our nervous system's a little bit more raw and less flexible. And after a nervous system event, I like to offer a recovery period. I usually just go with 2 weeks to expect my sleep to be a little off, my digestion to be a little off, my appetite to be a little off, to feel a little funky about my regular activities. The body, isn't like when you have a cold, they're like, give it 7 to 10 days. When you get stomach poisoning or food poisoning, they're like, yeah, give it a week or two. So I feel like that's a nice amount of time to just consider myself in recovery, take really super gentle care of myself. If I know that I'm going to have a nervous system event, like let's say I know that I'm having a stressful work meeting, or I know that I'm going to have a relationship, an interpersonal event that's going to be challenging for me, or I know that I'm going to be traveling for something that's difficult, I may add some resourcing ahead of time and during. So, for example, when I was getting ready for uh, a family visit, I did extra therapy, extra walking, extra meditating for the like 3 months beforehand in preparation and did a lot of what we call in DBT coping ahead, which means like thinking about potential experiences that could come up and like thinking through and planning some of the ways that I would support myself. And then during, so I increased my resources before. During, I scheduled 15-minute check-ins with my therapist every day of the visit so that I had extra resources and connections with my current present self. Because often when we're in old environments or with people that we have like we associate with a different time period, our nervous system can be like, are we in that time period? Because the nervous system's like a timestamp type of a mechanism. So I had consistent meetings with my therapist so that she could remind me of like where I was in time and who I was now during the visit. And I took like extra walks and had extra breaks and extra meditation and extra food and drink during the visit. And then afterwards, like I said, just took really good care of myself, like I had had surgery or the flu or something like that. So I hope that's helpful. Just the, ongoing reminder that feeling safe and calm all of the time doesn't make sense on this planet in physical bodies. Maybe someday it will. But until then, we can offer ourselves, really gentle care and honesty about when it's not safe enough to relax, and when it is, those opportunities through extra resourcing, extra nervous system activities to touch in with safety consistently. Um, Taking care of ourselves and understanding and having compassion for the times when that may not be possible. We may just be thrown into a really challenging uh, slew of time, and we may not be able to take great care of ourselves, and that's okay too. And there may be times when we just are too tired or too overwhelmed or anything else, knowing that we can't like ruin our nervous system. It's an incredibly flexible circuitry that is willing to, take really good care of us when we need it, and then to, reconnect with trusting if we're able to gently support it when it feels ready. Okay, lots of love.